Welcome back. Today we're doing cloth simulations. They work like soft body simulations, but there are a few features which make them run a little bit better. And we're gonna start by creating a floor. Switch to edit mode and subdivide this by 20, because when we work with these simulations and objects collide, it's always important to have enough vertices for the physics simulation calculation. And this is our ground, it's our collision, and we're gonna make this cloth, and we're also giving it wait, let me check. It's looking also like this. Okay, we're gonna see in which case you need to add collision to cloth. But first, we're wondering why it's not deforming. And it is because we don't have a lot of vertices. So if we also subdivide this by, it's actually a little bit too much, 5. And we let it run again. Now we have some movement. What we can also do is convert this to a sphere with this shortcut and let it run again. And this is actually really important for these kind of simulations. You want to keep the poly count relatively low, so you don't have a lot of simulations, and then after this you just add the subdivision, make it smooth, and get your shape like this. Okay, so we have our floor, we have our basic object, and now we're gonna go a little bit through the settings. This is a lot of trial out. I'm just gonna give you one preset now for a soft, like for very wobbly simulations, and for that we're gonna reduce tension, compression, and shear to 0.1. And you never want to go completely to 0 with these values. It's always working better when you just put small numbers. Let's see. And nice. Next setting is pressure. You have two values, pressure and pressure scale, and let me add one here. Let's increase this to 2 or 5, like this. Play around with these two settings, but concentrate a little bit more on pressure. And one thing, if you put pressure too high, it will just explode. So there you also need to find a sweet spot. These simulations are also super dependent on the size. So when you import stuff later, just take the default cube and think this like as a default size for good simulations. Good. Next thing is we have gravity in our scene right now. It's falling quite fast, but we can go here. We can completely disable the gravity, then it's just floating. But you can also just put a lower number, like -1. Bring this a little bit up, and it will fall much slower. Second option to play with the gravity, let's put this to -9 again, and down here we have the field weights. Here you can say how much this object is affected by specific forces, and you can completely turn off the gravity here. Gravity here is on, and it's not going to be affected. For which cases do we want this? For example, if we want to add a force and have all the influence only from that force we added and not from the gravity. So force is down here. Let's just take the normal force for now, and positive words are always reflecting, like pushing, and negative values are pulling. So if you put this -10, yes. If you have a strong computer, you can even grab this and play. Okay. Next thing, now we want these to interact. Therefore, we have to add collision to both. And we play again. If we want to have a hard bounce, we could go like -30 maybe. Put this over here. Boom. There's one thing. Can we see it here? Yeah, you will always have this gap. This is for the purpose of simulations, because when the vertices interact too much, it's gonna completely explode and glitch away. And yeah, this will happen a lot to you, that stuff glitches away. Before I recorded this tutorial, I did sit down half an hour to figure out good values for you guys. So this is already our first thing we do, and now we're already good to import our SVG. Andreas did this shape collection for his master thesis, and it's free to use, and they're all SVGs. That means they're vector graphics. And I choose this, and to import it, you're gonna go to import SVG, and oh, there we go. And if I scale it, it's scaling on that yellow point here. It's a little bit weird, so we go set origin, origin to geometry, and now we have even scaling. Next thing, go to shading, delete this, layout again, and right now this is still a vector graphic, so we could play around with it. But we need a mesh in order to add our physics. And so we convert to mesh, go to edit mode, and you can see the topology is completely fucked up. First thing, we're gonna choose everything with A and extrude it on the Z-axis. Now we go back to object mode, and we're choosing remesh. This one, we're having sharp objects, so we go for sharp, and then you have to find that sweet spot where the whole object is there. Yeah, you have different options. We're gonna apply this and check the vertices. This looks good for now. And I don't want this right now. We're gonna add our cloth again. Oh. Okay, now it's bouncy, it's having pressure from inside. And now I want to have some interaction. I'm gonna add a cylinder, scale it on the z-axis, scale it again. Rotate at the y-axis 90 degrees. And now we make this a collision object, and let's play. Okay, good enough for now. I need to show you one thing for the people who have computers who cannot quite accomplish this in real time. You have to look in the cloth section here for cache, and then you can say which frame rate you want to bake. Baking means calculating the simulation before, and then you just press bake. And now this is in your cache and you can play it in real time. Yeah, you can delete all the bakes if you want to redo it. So now I'm gonna animate this one. And there's one thing you need to understand. You cannot put keyframes on soft body or cloth simulations, but you can put keyframes on collision objects. So the only way to interact with soft body objects is to have a collision objects messing with them. And this is what we're going to do right now. We're going to pull this up. So I press I and I'm going to choose location. I'm going to scroll a little bit up here to frame 60. Now I take this, bring it up a little bit, and I set another location keyframe. Of course this looks weird, but we're going to just restart this. And we can see it worked. Now subdivision surface, shade smooth. Cool thing is you can hide this one, also this one, and now we have this kind of interesting shape. So try importing different objects and play a little bit with them. What you can also do is put keyframes on the gravity. You can see it back here. Whenever you have one of these points, it means you can animate it. So yeah, you know how it's going. Click once, scroll forwards, enter a new value, tip it again, and yeah, this would push the object very fast upwards because normally gravity is pulling downwards, something like in the -90. Okay, so let's make an interesting render from this. We're gonna give this one a glass surface, and we need an environment texture, light path, mix shader, I'm on cycles. I want to calculate with my GPU. Let's have a look. Cool. Right now it's bugging, but I think the principles are clear. I will also link one more sculpting tutorial in Moodle, but for now that's it. So have fun playing around with it and don't kill your computers.